You are Locked On Giants Postcast, part of Locked On Sports Bay Area, on the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Yo, what's up, everyone, and welcome back to the Locked On Giants Postcast. I'm your host, Eric Triple E Engel. You may know me as the former producer for the Murph and Mac Morning Show on KMBR. And today, the Giants just couldn't pull out the sweep. They couldn't complete the sweep over the Mets, falling 8-2 at Oracle Park. Ryan Walker was forced into starting a bullpen game, shout out the Gabe Kapler regime, as high-profile free agent signing Blake Snell landed on the 15-day injured list. And the Giants offense is back to being trash. Or is it? We got a lot to get into today, but we'll break it all down. But first, I want to thank all of you for watching us on the Locked On Sports Bay Area YouTube channel. If you aren't already subscribed, please go ahead and hit that subscribe button right now. Thanks also for listening on the Locked On Giants podcast feed. However you're getting the show, we appreciate you tuning in. And make sure you check out the Locked On Giants Daily Show for more in-depth coverage. Ben Kaspick does a great job. Today's episode is brought to you by PrizePicks, the easiest and most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. Go to prizepicks.com/lockedonmlb and use code all lowercase LOCKEDONMLB for a first deposit match up to $100. Today was weird right from the jump. Like I said, Ryan Walker gets the start in a bullpen game, which does not bring back a lot of good feelings or memories for me. And I'm sure it doesn't bring back very many good feelings for you guys either. Bullpen games were the absolute bane of my existence last year. I went to so many Giants games last year, probably the most games I'll ever go to in any single season in my entire lifetime. And I was forced to watch Ryan Walker start more games than I care to admit. I was forced to watch Scott Alexander start more games than I would care to admit. So many bullpen games last season. And although I hate the bullpen game, I despise watching them. It just makes for an awful product. Like going to the yard for those is just terrible. Watching them on TV is just terrible. No rhythm to the game at all. No flow to the starting pitcher. Like there's no flow with the pitching staff. There's no real order that you're going to go through with your relievers. Like usually you have an idea of like a 2 or 3 guys that you're going to pitch per game. And in a game like today, you just throw the kitchen sink at somebody and hope you get through it. And that's what the Giants did today. Used a ton of pitchers to get through this one and gave up 8 runs in the process. It was not a very fun game to watch, but you can't win them all. It was disappointing that the Giants weren't able to complete the sweep. It would have been their first sweep of the season. They had a golden opportunity today, but just couldn't get it done. The Blake Snell news is a bummer, but that's all it is. It's a bummer. I'm not concerned. It's, he has an adductor strain. He's going to be back probably in 15 days. I wouldn't expect him to linger on that 15-day IL. You know how we hate lingerers. Shout out Pineapple Express. But I don't expect him to linger on that injured list for much longer than the 15 days that he's going to have to be on it before he's eligible to return. And it kind of gives him an opportunity to ramp up more than he had earlier. He's going to, obviously you don't want a guy to get injured, but if we're looking for silver linings, it's good that Snell's going to have an opportunity to get back to being more like himself without having to rush back to pitch for the Giants. I mean, Cobb's coming back pretty soon. You got a lot of options that you can go to aside from Blake Snell to fill in that pitching staff. We'll get into that later on in the show. A couple of them you saw pitch today, but it's going to be, the Giants are going to be able to get through it. It's not going to sink the ship that Blake Snell's not out there. I mean, he hasn't really done a whole lot for the Giants anyways this season. He's been trying to find himself on the hill, and he's clearly not 100%. I mean, this obviously is just more evidence against the how Scott Boras conducted his free agents this offseason. I mean, didn't let his guys sign until after spring training is done, at least some of his higher profile guys. And now you got Blake Snell on the shelf and not looking very good to start the season. So that's, I think, going to encourage teams to sign players a little quicker in MLB free agency going forward, which is something we can all appreciate because MLB free agency is the absolute worst free agency of all major sports. It is so boring. You have to wait so long for anything to happen. I feel like I'm just constantly refreshing Twitter until I get tired of refreshing Twitter, waiting for news, and then I just miss stuff because it just happens on like a random Wednesday at like 1 p.m. and like no one's paying attention. So hopefully this makes free agency, helps speed that up a little bit. And like I said, I don't expect Blake Snell to really be out for that long, and I don't expect this to impact the Giants too much in their starting rotation. You still got 4 guys who are lights out right now. I mean, their pitching staff is so deep that they can afford to deal with an injury or two. It's not the worst thing in the world. But today in this one, you saw Ryan Walker start. He pitched a clean first inning. Sean Jelly comes in the second. He does all right in that second inning. Candidate for filling in that 5th starting rotation spot, Sean Jelly. But in the 3rd inning, Jelly gives up a 2-run home run to Francisco Lindor, who went absolutely bananas today. Francisco Lindor basically single-handedly beat the Giants. I mean, 4 for 5 at the dish, 2 runs scored, 4 RBIs. He's been having a down year. He's batting 206 now after the 4 for 5 days. So he's been slumping to start the year, but a guy of his caliber, an all-star level shortstop, perennial all-star level shortstop, is going to get back to being himself. And that's what he did today. He wasn't done, by the way. He hit another bomb just for good luck, good measure, I guess. In the 9th inning, Lindor hits a 2-run jack, his second of the game. That first one kind of squeaked over that right field wall. It landed up on that up on the arcade in right field. It was kind of similar to how Pete Alonso hit that home run the other night when he pulled it to left. It was a good pitch. It was down and in, and Lindor went down and put a better swing on it and pulled it out over the right field wall. And that was what gave the Mets the 2-0 lead. The home run in the 9th pushed it to 8. It was another 2-run jack, but that one was not very. It was not a cheapie. He smoked that one. It was a shot to right. It didn't land in the water, but he hit that thing more to right center than just to right, but he killed that ball, man. That made it 8-1. The Mets scored a bunch of runs in between. We don't need to go through all of them. Tyron Taylor hit a solo jack in this one and then came up and doubled with runners on first and second. So he really killed the Giants today as well. Taylor, how many RBIs did this guy have? He had 3 RBIs. He went 2 for 3 at the dish, 2 runs scored, 3 RBIs. Between Taylor and Lindor, they murdered the Giants at the plate today. That's about all you need to know in this one. I do want to briefly shout out forever Giant Sean Manaea, who got the start for the Mets in this one. No longer going with the long flowy locks. I like the long haired Sean Manaea look. He just fit the vibe. He's a big reggae guy. I mean, I've talked to him a couple times about his taste in music, and he's a big reggae dude. He loves reggae. He also loves Devil's Teeth Bakery. Shout out Devil's Teeth Bakery in the Sunset in San Francisco, right down the street from my house. I love that place. And so does Sean Manaea. So I'm a Sean Manaea guy, you could say. But anyways, he got taken out in the 5th inning with 2 outs. And this man hadn't given up a run. He was 1 out away from being eligible for a win. And the Mets had a 6-0 lead, and he got yanked. And you could see that he was upset, man. He was hanging on the rail in the Mets dugout, just like sulking. And with a 6-0 lead, that's a really, 1, a bad look. And 2, I don't blame him, though. Like, that's so just, come on, man. Like, let him go get 1 more out. And by the way, the last batter that he faced in this game, he struck out Conforto on like a nasty slider. And why did you take this guy out? It was I don't know, man. That was kind of a bummer for Sean Manaea. It was just a funny moment in this game. The Giants, they didn't really do much at the plate. You saw Tyler Fitzgerald solo home run to left him. That was not a cheapie either. You saw it on the home run. I do want to say you saw a dude, the guy who came up with it, probably 30s, 40s, and he immediately goes and gives the ball to a kid. Props to that guy. If you are a grown adult, you're not allowed to leave the yard with the baseball unless it's one that's worth a lot of money. Like you catch a record-breaking home run, like if you're catching a Barry Bonds home run when he's chasing the record like that, you go ahead and keep that ball and go get your money. I'm not gonna fault you for that. But if you catch like a random foul ball, or for instance a Tyler Fitzgerald home run in when it's currently 6-1 against the Mets in April, 8-2 loss, like you give that ball to a kid. You don't leave the stadium with that ball. Certain things you got to do at a Giants game if you are a Giants fan, and that is one of them. And so is not doing the wave and throwing around beach balls just for good measure. Just don't do that either, because that's not what Giants fans do. And if you disagree, go watch the episode from like a month ago that we addressed that in. Anyways, the Giants just kind of needed to finish this game. It was weird from the start. It was a dreary, just kind of dull day in San Francisco. It's all gray outside everywhere, overcast and kind of cold. It's just weird vibes today, man. The particles weren't there. Didn't feel them at the yard. Didn't feel it here in the city today. It just, sometimes you just got to pick it up and move on. Sometimes, as the great Brian Murphy says, sometimes in life, you're going to get boned. Today was one of those days. 8-2 Giants loss. You move on. You get an off day tomorrow, a much needed off day. You actually do get an off day tomorrow, unlike the last time I said this one. I was completely incorrect about that because I was looking at my calendar wrong. Anyways, tomorrow, the Giants for sure have an off day before they start their series against the Pittsburgh Pirates on Friday. The Pirates, who started the season off pretty hot, have been slumping kind of as of late. And the Giants, if they're going to we keep talking about wanting the Giants to finish this homestand over 500. If they're going to be able to do that, they're going to need to sweep the Pirates. I think it's possible. I think they can still pull it out. They're also going to need to find another pitcher to fill in for Blake Snell while he's on the shelf. We will get into that on the other side because you saw a couple of those options today. So we'll look at how they fared and see what the Giants might be able to do going forward with this pitching rotation. Stick with us on the Locked On Giants postcast. I'm your host, Eric E. Engel. We will be right back. We've all been there, either as a player or a fan. It's halftime and the scoreboard is not looking good. You're feeling low, not sure how you or your team can pull out a win. That's when you got to dig deep, lift your head up, and say to yourself, time to get back in the game. Pull off some bank heists and take as much of my friends' money as I possibly can. That's right. The smash hit mobile game Monopoly Go lets you compete with your friends to get the most riches and the biggest empire. It's the Monopoly you love, but on your phone, anytime, with tons of new twists, including leaderboards, to compare your progress to your buddies. There's so much to do. Play on countless dynamic Monopoly boards, make your friends bankrupt by smashing their landmarks with a wrecking ball, charge other players rent for your iconic properties, and you can even work with your friends to crack open community chests and in tournaments to get rewards and climb up that leaderboard. So get back out there, put on your game face, and download Monopoly Go, now for free on the App Store or Google Play. And today's episode is also brought to you by PrizePicks. PrizePicks is America's #1 fantasy sports app with over 3 million members. PrizePicks is the easiest and most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. It's just you against the numbers. You pick more than or less than on 2 to 6 player stat projections and watch the winnings roll in. Spring training is over and baseball season is officially underway. Don't miss your chance to add your favorite picks in players from the diamond in your PrizePicks entries. Whether it's strikeouts, RBIs, or first inning runs, take your pick of more or less and add them to your PrizePicks entry today. PrizePicks has something for every sports fan, from baseball and basketball to League of Legends and everything in between. You can pick LeBron, Shohei Ohtani, Connor McDavid, and Jude Bellingham all in the same entry, at least until the Lakers get bounced out of the playoffs by the Denver Nuggets, which is going to happen very soon here. Download the app today and use code LOCKEDONMLB for a first deposit match up to $100. Again, download the PrizePicks app today and use code LOCKEDONMLB for a first deposit match up to $100. It's PrizePicks. Pick more, pick less. It's that easy. Welcome back to the Locked On Giants postcast. I'm your host, Eric E. Engel, former producer from the Murph and Mac Show. By the way, quick update for you guys. I've been promising Paulie Mac on the show. It's going to happen. Trust me. I got to reconnect with my guy. He had some things he needed to sort out, but Paulie's good to go. Back in town. We're going to get Paulie on the show sometime before the end of this month, which is coming pretty quickly. We've got about a week left in this month. So I promise you guys, within the next week, we will be getting Paulie Mac on the show. It'll be great. I'm excited. I love me some Paulie Mac. And speaking of Paulie Mac, you got to talk about particles whenever you talk about Paulie Mac. And the particles were not there today out at the yard. It was a weird day, man. A bullpen game, weird, dreary spring day in San Francisco. Just almost felt like a dark fall day. Like it just was. It's very dark and gray outside. It's not the best San Francisco day, and it wasn't the best day from the San Francisco Giants either. Blake Snell hits the 15-day IL, and the Giants are forced to go with a bullpen game, which, as I just discussed, is my least favorite type of game to watch, and I'm sure it is probably one of your guys' least favorite types of games to watch as well. But we got to talk about Blake Snell. 15-day IL, adductor sprain, but he didn't really look right anyways. I mean, he's always starts slow, like his Aprils are always bad, but this was actually the worst start that he's ever had in his career. This was statistically not great for Blake Snell. And you've seen flashes, like the stuff is still there, but it's just hanging some curveballs and some off-speed stuff, just not locating the fastball how he wants to. He looks a little wild out there right now. And maybe he's just rushing back too much, and maybe the lack of buildup caused him to overthrow and because he's not built up the right way, injured himself. So one, you question the process that happens in free agency nowadays where guys sign super late. And two, it's not the worst thing in the world. It gives him time to ramp up while being inside the organization without the expectations of starting, as the number 2 starter in this lineup right behind, as we talked about last night, the best starting pitcher in all of baseball, Logan Webb. You're expected to be the number 2 to that guy. So still, I mean, the number 2 to the best pitcher in baseball is usually a guy who is also like inside the top 30, top 20 as well. So you're expecting Blake Snell to be one of those elite level pitchers in baseball, and he's just not there right now. And it's tough to come into a new environment. Yeah, he's got the familiarity of Bob Melvin, but it's a new environment, new city, new town. Yeah, he's facing, the same division more or less, but completely new situation for Blake Snell. And he's coming in here with a week to get ready for the regular season, 2 weeks, because they didn't force him to start that first game that he would have been slated into right behind Logan Webb. He didn't start the second game of the season. He waited until that road trip and started against the Dodgers. If you guys remember, or not against the Dodgers, excuse me, but waited until that road trip or the Nationals game at home to get Snell his first start. Wow, my brain, dude. Against the Nationals at home, first start for Blake Snell. But it was not during that first homestand. It wasn't during that first road trip when the Giants were in LA. It was when they came back home and played they got through that series against the Padres, then played the Nationals. Snell got that start. The Giants weren't really playing very well, and Snell just kind of fit in with the vibe of the Giants not playing that well at the time. The difference is the rest of the Giants have picked it up, and Snell is still just middling around. And I think that part of the reason for that, maybe that's the injury, but it's also him being in a new environment and not having time to get acclimated. It could be a good thing for the Giants and for Blake Snell to be able to ramp himself up without having to rush back, knowing that you got Alex Cobb waiting to come back as well. You got a ton of other options that you can lean on currently on the roster and in AAA. And let's go through a couple of those. Right now, we'll just focus on guys who are currently on the roster. The Giants recalled Landon Roop when they put Snell on the 15-day IL. And I've talked about it on the show. I think we could see him fill in as the 5th starter with Snell out. The Giants really like him and his stuff. They have plans to extend him to being a starting pitcher, and he did start 10 games last season in AA Richmond. Shout out the Flying Squirrels. So he's an option. We saw him pitch today. Mixed results. And you also saw mixed results from another guy today that is going to be another option to fill in as that 5th starter, Sean Jelly. Some more big league experience than Landon Roop. And he's also started a lot more games than any other pitcher that the Giants could fill in as this last 5th starter until Cobb comes back or Snell. And that would be Sean Jelly. And he's started 19 games in each season in the minor leagues between 2019 and 2023, at least 19 starts per season between 2019 and 2023. This guy, he's not going to light the world on fire, but we've seen Sean Jelly. We know what he can give you, and he could go out there and eat 4 or 5 innings every 5th day. I don't think it's the worst option in the world. But if the Giants wanted to kind of mix it up and see what they got in a Landon Roop or maybe a Mitch White, who we also saw today, he had an okay inning at the end. He did give up that bomb to Lindor, but he started 18 games in 2022. Former second round draft pick by the Dodgers. When you're drafted that high, you're expected to be able to produce. So this guy has clearly got the stuff to work out at the majors. Who knows if he's going to be able to ramp up? He's basically just joined this Giants pitching rotation not that long ago. So he's also trying to get acclimated here. If the Giants want to play it safe, I think they go Sean Jelly. If they want to mix it up, kick the tires on a Landon Roop, or maybe we see Mason Black come up eventually, but them bringing up Roop tells me that I think that's where they're going to go. I think that they're going to put Roop back, see what he's got. Maybe they split some of these starts before Snell comes back. You think there's going to be at least 2 or 3 that fall on that day, on the Snell start day, that you're going to have a Jelly or a Roop pitch. Maybe they split and give both guys some time out there and see what you got. I wouldn't hate that, man. I would like to see Landon Roop stretched out. I would like to see Sean Jelly get another chance at actually being a starting pitcher, although he's been pretty decent out of the bullpen when he doesn't pitch more than 1 inning. So that kind of concerns me, the fact that Jelly has found his rhythm in the bullpen, and you might yank him back out of there and put him in the starting rotation when this guy's got something going. So a lot of different options, a lot of different directions the Giants can go with the Blake Snell injury and how they adapt to that. Again, Giants lose 8-2 today to the New York Mets. We see all 3 guys who could potentially fill in for Blake Snell in his absence throwing today. So mixed results from all of them. You don't really know what you got. You got to give each guy a little bit more time out there to see what's gonna happen. A little bit more to break down in this one. We haven't talked about the offense, but the offense reverted back to being absolute trash today. And I'm not talking trash pandas like the minor league baseball team, the Trash Pandas. Although I wonder if that minor league team would have hit better than this Giants major league squad today. Stick with us on the Locked On Giants postcast. We'll break down the Giants slumping offense on the other side. I'm your host, Eric Triple E Engel. We will be right back. This Mother's Day, get something thoughtful for mom on DoorDash. Surprise her from wherever you are with fresh bouquets, the latest tech, gift cards, self-care treats, and more to make her day that much more special. Pair flowers with a gift card so she can celebrate any day she wants. Is mom a bookworm? Try a bookstore gift card. I know my mom lives just north of me up here in Petaluma. She loves Copperfield. It's a great idea. Does she love a good latte? I mean, get her a gift card to her favorite coffee shop. You just can't go wrong. Get the thoughtful gifts she deserves with the convenience you need. Choose same-day delivery or schedule a week ahead for when flowers and gifts should arrive to her door with DoorDash. I know my mom always taught me to save my money, so I try to shop with savings in mind that would make her proud. That's why I have a DoorDash Dash Pass, and you should get one too. With the Dash Pass membership, you save with a $0 delivery fee. That's right, $0 delivery fee. I hate those delivery fees. And reduced services on eligible orders from Dash Pass merchants that meet the minimum subtotal. Other fees, including service fees, apply. Terms apply. Get all your Mother's Day gifts all in one place and get 50% off your next order, up to $15 when you spend $15 or more on your next flower, convenience, grocery, or retail order. Order now with code LOCKEDONMLB. That's code LOCKEDONMLB. Order using DoorDash today. Terms apply. Welcome back to the Locked On Giants postcast. I'm your host, Eric Triple E Engel, and today the Giants lose a really boring bullpen game, if we're just being flat out honest. A very boring bullpen game. 8-2 to the Mets. Francisco Lindor goes nuts, 4 for 5. A lot of RBIs, two separate 2-run jacks for Lindor up onto the right field wall. It wasn't the Giants' day. It just wasn't the day. The particles weren't there. The vibes weren't right. It just wasn't the Giants' day out at Oracle Park. You pick up and you move on with your series win against the Mets 2-1, and you try to keep stringing some wins together against the Pirates. I don't think a day like today completely derails the Giants, but more concerns from this offense, man. It seems like they just can't hit with any sort of consistency. The Giants leaving 11 runners on base today, 0 for 7 with runners in scoring position. It's right back to what you can't have, man. Like 0 for 7 with runners in scoring position is not acceptable for a team that wants to go back to the postseason. You got to find a way to hit with more consistency. And I know that you had Jung Hoo Lee out, you got Austin Slater in this one, and that really changes this whole lineup. Mike Yastrzemski also sat down today. Tyler Fitzgerald got some run in this as well. It's frustrating when the middle of the order still continues to not be able to hit. Soler, Ofer, again, he did draw a walk, but Ofer, again. Wilmer Flores had a couple hits. Wilmer, at the very end of the game, you know that you're playing a guy's playing his former team when he tries to leg out a double and is thrown out by like 4 steps, because that's exactly what happened to Wilmer in the 9th inning. But he didn't care that the Giants were, trying to mount a comeback, that they, maybe they got something cooking with some runners on, Lamont Wade gets on ahead of him and Flores, just rips one off the left field wall and it bounced off the wall so hard that it carried him to the left fielder very quickly, and they got the ball in so fast that Wilmer was just dead by a mile out there at second base. He did not get a good jump out of the box. I have no idea why he tried to take second base, other than he just wanted to kind of stick it to his former team. Anyways, our favorite Friends fan looked kind of silly out there trying to leg that out into a double in the 9th inning. But point being, Wilmer batted second today. He had a couple hits, but the middle of the order, Matt Chapman, 1 hit, Michael Conforto, 1 hit, Soler, 0 hits. Like, you need more production from the middle of this order. No RBIs from the middle of this order at all. And you got to figure out a way to get some runs. You got to figure out a way to manufacture something. I mean, the Giants aren't going to be one of the better base running teams in baseball as far as steals go. I mean, they do a good job on taking extra bases, going first to third on singles, scoring first to home on extra base hits, things like that. They do a good job at being aggressive, running the bases, but stealing bases, they're not going to be very good at that. They're going to have to figure out how to have timely hits. That's what is going to get this team to be able to produce offensively, is timely hitting, because you don't have a ton of power. Soler is really your only chance at hitting more than 30 home runs unless Conforto stays healthy and has an awesome season all year long. But Matt Chapman, at this point in his career, he's, 20 to 25, sure, 30 is a stretch. And nobody else on this team could do that. There's no one else on this team that strikes that fear in you. Their runs aren't going to come from the long ball. You're also not going to need to outpace a team that scores 8 runs every day. Yeah, the Mets did hang 8 on them this afternoon, not tonight, but this is not something you're going to deal with every single day as far as what your pitching staff is going to give you. They're going to give you much more competitive opportunities to win games offensively later in games. But the Giants today, when you fall down 7 runs behind, this offense, you kind of know they're not coming back. And that's deflating. The power just isn't there. They need to start hitting with runners in scoring position. They need to be able to hit get timely hits with runners on and move guys over, productive outs, sack flies. This is how the Giants are going to be able to score runs and keep pace and remain competitive. The pitching is going to be there all year. The defense, so much better than last year. Dramatically improved. So those two things are going to keep you in a lot of games. If the Giants can just figure out how to go maybe 2 for 7 instead of 0 for 7 with runners in scoring position, they will win a lot of games, a lot more games than they're going to lose. So it's a bummer, but you think that this offense can probably get back. I think that they can get back to what they've been able to show glimmers of. During this run, the Giants have been playing better and the offense has been playing better, and it's resulted in wins directly. Like, this offense heats up, the Giants will win games. Pitching is going to keep you involved. Defense is going to keep you involved. it's going to keep you in games. And I see some of you in the chat, ripping Farhan for signing Snell. I'm not buying that, man. Snell's going to be totally fine. Farhan made a ton of great moves this offseason, improving the Giants not only at the plate, but defensively as well. That can't be understated. This team is so much better defensively, fits their pitching staff and what they're doing. Matt Chapman at third base and Nick Ahmed at shortstop. It's a lockdown infield that they have now, instead of what we had last year with Casey Schmidt airmailing like 100-mile-an-hour fastballs over to first base. We have an actual real defense, and with this pitching staff that induces tons of ground balls, that matters a lot. The outfield defense also dramatically improved with Jung-Hoo Lee, who is going to be a candidate for a Gold Glove in center field and very much so involved in Rookie of the Year talks. I don't want to hear any Farhan slander about how he hasn't gone out and signed anyone, because he has. He had probably the best free agent signing for the Giants since Barry Bonds in bringing Jung-Hoo Lee to this team. So I'm not going to pile on Farhan. I think any team in baseball would have been happy to sign Blake Snell. I think Monday morning quarterbacking a guy who just landed on the 15-day injured list is a cheap shot, honestly. So Blake Snell will be fine. Farhan did a great job bringing all these guys in, honestly, in the offseason. And you just need this offense to start coming around and start hitting. This team is not built to score 8 to 10 runs a game. They're not going to do that. They're going to pitch well. They're going to play defense, and they need timely hits with runners in scoring position, which they should eventually be able to do. Once this team develops more chemistry, more camaraderie, more time together, they'll know how to lean on each other a little more, and they'll be able to string some hits together. I think they will be just fine eventually. I do think this team's going to end up in the playoffs. A wild card berth at least seems very plausible for the Giants. They just got to start hitting with more consistency. And once these bats heat up, they will do just that. That's all the time we got for you today on the Locked On Giants postcast. I'm your host, Eric Triple E Engel. We will see you next time. Off day tomorrow. The Giants back in action Friday as they take on the Pittsburgh Pirates, first game of a 3-game set. We will be coming to you live after every single one of those. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next time. Peace.